There's a question I want you to answer honestly. If you lost your job tomorrow morning, how many months could you survive without changing anything about your current lifestyle? Not how many months could you survive eating ramen and sleeping on someone's couch? How many months could you continue living exactly the way you live right now with zero income coming in? If your answer is less than 3 months, your lifestyle is owning you. If your answer is less than 1 month, your lifestyle is strangling you. And if your answer is 2 weeks or less, your lifestyle isn't a lifestyle at all. It's a financial tightrope with no net underneath. Now, here's what's strange. That question has almost nothing to do with how much you earn. There are people making $40,000 who could survive 8 months without income. There are people making $140,000 who would be in crisis within 3 weeks. The difference isn't on the income line, it's on every line below it. It's in how many things you own, how many payments you've committed to, how many subscriptions auto-debit from your account, and how much of your life requires constant cash flow just to maintain itself. This video isn't about saving more money. You've heard that advice 1,000 times. This video is about something deeper. It's about reducing the amount of money your life requires to function in the first place. Because the less your life costs to operate, the more of every dollar you earn becomes yours to keep, invest, and build with. That's not frugality. That's financial engineering. And the people who master it stay financially stable through recessions, job losses, medical emergencies, and every other crisis that destroys people who built their lives on the assumption that next month's paycheck is guaranteed. Here are the rules that make that possible. Never own anything you can't maintain. This sounds obvious until you start applying it honestly. Most people buy things based on whether they can afford the purchase price. That's the wrong calculation entirely. The purchase price is the entry fee. The real cost is everything that comes after. That boat sitting in your neighbor's driveway costs roughly 10% of its value every single year in maintenance, storage, insurance, and registration. A $30,000 boat costs $3,000 per year to own, even if it never touches water. Over 10 years, that's $30,000 in maintenance alone. You bought the boat twice. One payment went to the dealer, the other was spread across a decade of invoices you never anticipated. This principle applies to everything. A bigger house means higher utilities, more furniture to fill it, more surfaces to maintain, more systems that can break, higher insurance, higher property taxes. A newer car means higher insurance premiums, more expensive parts, more anxiety about scratches and dents. Even smaller purchases follow this pattern. That espresso machine requires specialty pods, descaling solution, and eventual repair or replacement. That treadmill requires space, occasional maintenance, and the mental weight of guilt every time you walk past it without using it. Before buying anything, ask yourself one question. Can I comfortably afford not just this item, but everything this item will demand from me for as long as I own it? If the answer is no, or even maybe, you can't afford it. You can only afford the illusion of owning it temporarily before the ongoing costs start bleeding you. Never have more monthly obligations than you can cover with 60% of your income. This is a hard ceiling, not a guideline, not an aspiration, a ceiling. Your rent or mortgage, car payment, insurance, utilities, subscriptions, loan payments, phone bill, and every other recurring monthly charge should total no more than 60% of your take-home pay. If these obligations exceed 60%, you have almost no margin for saving, investing, or absorbing unexpected costs. You're living in a financial structure where everything has to go perfectly every single month, or the whole thing starts cracking. Most people never actually add up their total monthly obligations. They know their rent, they know their car payment, But they don't add the gym membership, the streaming services, the insurance premiums, the subscription boxes, the app renewals, the cloud storage, the meal kit delivery, the pest control service, the roadside assistance plan, and the 14 other recurring charges that individually seem insignificant but collectively consume hundreds of dollars every month. Do this exercise right now. Open your bank statement, highlight every recurring charge from the last 30 days, add them up. The total will likely surprise you. For the average person, it's somewhere between 70 and 85% of their take home pay locked into recurring obligations before they've bought a single grocery item or put a single dollar toward their future. That's not a budget, that's a cage. And minimalist money rules are about dismantling that cage bar by bar until your fixed costs drop low enough to give you actual financial breathing room. Never buy something to impress someone you wouldn't lend money to. This rule sounds almost humorous, but it will save you a staggering amount of money once you internalize it. Think about the last expensive purchase you made that was at least partially motivated by how it would look to others. The car that was nicer than what you needed, the apartment in the trendy neighborhood when a quieter area would have cost $400 less per month, the designer item that functionally does the same thing as a version costing one-fifth the price. Now, think about who you were trying to impress. Your coworkers? Would you lend them $5,000? Probably not. That stranger at the coffee shop who glanced at your watch? You'll never see them again. Your social media followers? Most of them scrolled past your post in zero point 0.8 seconds and felt nothing. The brutal truth about status spending is that the people you're trying to impress either don't notice, don't care, or are too busy trying to impress you with their own purchases to pay attention to yours. Everyone is performing for an audience that isn't watching. Meanwhile, the actual cost of that performance is coming directly out of your financial stability, your retirement savings, and your ability to withstand the next crisis that hits. Minimalists don't reject nice things. They reject paying for things whose primary value is external perception rather than personal utility. A $40 jacket that keeps you warm and a $400 jacket that keeps you warm provide the same functional value. The $360 difference is the price of perception. Paying it occasionally is human. Paying it habitually is how high earners stay broke. Never finance a depreciating asset for longer than 3 years. If you can't pay off a car, a phone, furniture, electronics, or any other item that loses value over time within 36 months, you cannot afford it. Full stop. The financial industry has normalized 72-month car loans, 48-month furniture financing, and 36-month phone payment plans because longer terms mean lower monthly payments, which means more people say yes. But longer terms also mean you're frequently paying for something that's worth less than what you owe on it. That's called being underwater, and it's a financial position that traps you in a cycle of perpetual debt. A 5-year loan on a car that loses 60% of its value in 5 years means you spend most of the loan period owing more than the car is worth. If something happens during that period and you need to sell the car, you can't. You'd have to pay the difference between what the car sells for and what you still owe. You're locked in, not by choice, by math. Minimalist money rules cap financing terms on depreciating assets at 3 years because within that window, your payments outpace depreciation. You build equity in the item rather than sinking further behind its declining value. If the 3-year payment on something is more than you can afford monthly, the item is too expensive. Not too expensive theoretically, too expensive for you right now. And that distinction is where financial stability lives. Never let convenience become a recurring expense. This is the silent budget killer of 2026. Convenience has been monetized so aggressively that most people don't realize how much they're paying for it. Food delivery apps charge a delivery fee, a service fee, an inflated menu price averaging 15 to 30% higher than in-store prices, and then suggest a tip on top of all of it. A $12 meal becomes a $24 transaction. Ordered 3 times a week, that's $72 versus $36 for the same food picked up yourself. That's $187 per month in pure convenience markup. Over a year, that's $2,244 spent on the luxury of not driving to pick up your own food. Subscription services follow the same pattern. You're paying monthly for convenience that you may not even be using. The average American pays for 4.5 streaming services simultaneously. Most only actively watch one or two at any given time. The others run quietly in the background, charging $15 here, $12 there, $18 somewhere else, creating a river of small charges that individually feel insignificant, but annually total $500 to $800 in unused convenience. Meal kit services, premium app tiers, next day shipping memberships, automated grocery delivery, pre made smoothie subscriptions. Each one exists because someone figured out how to charge you a premium for saving 20 minutes. And 20 minutes feels worth $8 in the moment, but $8 3 times a week is $1,248 per year. For 20 minutes, you could have spent doing something that's not even difficult. Minimalist money rules don't reject convenience entirely, they reject automatic convenience. Before any convenience based recurring expense, ask yourself, would I pay this amount in cash every single time I use this service? If you had to physically hand someone $24 every time you ordered a $12 meal through an app, you'd stop doing it within a week. The automation hides the cost. Remove the automation, and the real price becomes visible. Never keep more house than you use. Housing is typically the largest single expense in anyone's budget. It's also the expense where lifestyle inflation does the most damage because housing costs aren't just the mortgage or rent, they cascade into everything else. A bigger house means higher utility bills, more rooms to furnish, more space to fill with things you'll buy and never use, more square footage to clean and maintain, higher insurance, higher property taxes. A more expensive neighborhood often means more expensive grocery stores, restaurants, and social expectations. The average American home size has increased from 1,660 square feet in 1973 to over 2,300 square feet today. Meanwhile, average household size has decreased from 3.01 people to 2.5 people. We're building bigger homes for fewer people and then filling the extra space with purchases we make to justify having the extra space. The spare bedroom that became a home office, that became a storage room for things you forgot you owned. The formal dining room used twice a year that could have been $300 less in monthly rent if you'd chosen a place without one. Every 200 square feet of unnecessary housing costs approximately $200 to $400 per month in combined mortgage or rent, utilities, insurance, taxes, and maintenance. Over a decade, that's $24,000 to $48,000 spent on space you don't actively use. That's not shelter, that's expensive air. Minimalists don't live in tiny homes or reject comfort. They match their housing to their actual daily needs rather than their aspirational fantasies about hosting dinner parties they'll never throw in rooms they'll never use. Never stop auditing. Financial stability isn't a destination you reach, it's a system you maintain, and systems break down without regular inspection. The subscription you signed up for 6 months ago that you forgot about is still charging you. The insurance premium that quietly increased by $30 at renewal is still higher than it needs to be. The grocery spending that crept up by $50 per week over the past year is still elevated. These small increases go unnoticed individually, but compound into hundreds or thousands of dollars annually in unnecessary spending. A 15-minute monthly audit of your bank statement catches these leaks before they drain you. Not a detailed budget review, not a spreadsheet exercise, just 15 minutes scanning for charges that shouldn't be there, amounts that seem higher than expected, and recurring payments for things that no longer add value to your life. Most people who do this for the first time find $100 to $300 per month in charges they didn't realize they were paying. That's $1,200 to $3,600 per year recovered from a 15-minute exercise. No other financial activity produces that kind of return on time invested. The person who audits monthly stays lean. The person who never audits accumulates financial weight so gradually they don't notice until their budget is suffocating under obligations they never consciously chose. These rules share a common thread that I want you to see clearly. None of them ask you to earn more money. None of them require a higher salary, a side hustle, or a lucky break. They all operate on the same principle. Reduce the cost of maintaining your life so that more of your income belongs to you instead of belonging to your obligations. The average person earns enough to build wealth. They just have too much life to maintain, too many payments, too many subscriptions, too many square feet, too many things requiring insurance, maintenance, storage, and mental energy. Their income flows in and immediately flows back out to sustain a lifestyle that grew without anyone planning it. Financial stability doesn't come from making more. It comes from needing less, not wanting less. You can want whatever you want, needing less. Structuring your life so that your essential operating costs are low enough that no single event, no job loss, no recession, no medical emergency, no market crash can threaten your foundation. That question I asked at the beginning, how many months could you survive without income? When you follow these rules consistently, that number stops being terrifying and starts being boring. 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. Eventually, it stops mattering because your life costs so little to run that almost any income source covers it with margin to spare. That's not deprivation. That's the most powerful financial position a human being can occupy. Low cost of living, high margin of safety, complete immunity to the financial chaos that destroys people who built expensive lives on the assumption that everything would always go according to plan. Nothing always goes according to plan. These rules make sure you're fine anyway.